What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. I don't know why I'm so excited for this video, but we are finally testing burning new motor oil versus waste motor oil in my diesel heater. A lot of people have assumed, including myself, that a lot of the buildup that we're seeing inside of the burn chamber is the contamination inside of the waste oil. So we are going to do some back-to-back testing, first with waste motor oil and then with new motor oil, and find out what the truth is. I'm really excited to show you guys the results, but first, a big thanks to everyone who's been getting involved, whether that's subscribing to my channel, leaving likes on the videos, or getting involved in the comment section below. All that stuff helps, so thanks, I do appreciate it. A big thanks also to all 1,600 of my subscribers. I've made it to 1,600. That is incredible. Thank you very much to all of you. I do appreciate it. And a big thanks to everyone who has purchased a heater using my affiliate link. If you are interested in getting a heater that is similar to mine, there is an affiliate link in the description below. If you purchase a heater using that link, it helps me out. I get a small kickback. There's also a discount code in the description below. VVS10 for $10 off, or VV promo for 5% off store-wide. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, all the information in the description below. Go check it out. Just in case you didn't see that intro where there were flames shooting out of my exhaust and stuff backfiring, and in case you haven't seen any of my other videos where stuff catches on fire and all sorts of crazy stuff happens, don't be doing what I do. If you missed those last few clips, I'm going to be burning motor oil and waste motor oil in my heater, and I would suggest that you not try the same thing. Doing so could get you hurt, killed, damage your property, or cause a complete loss of property. I'm doing some silly things. If you decide to do silly things, accept responsibility for yourself, but I would just suggest that you just don't try what I do. In the last video, we cut open the burn chamber, removed the mesh, and as we were testing it, my ECU failed. That's where we left off. That's where we're going to start. I want to point out before we go any further with this conversation that this is not the fault of the heater and not the fault of the circuit board. I have been abusing this thing for 2 months straight. I have overheated the motor enough to melt the brushes, and then I continued to use that same melted brushed motor while I was waiting for a new one. So the fact that this control board lasted as long as it did is kind of amazing. I went in the house last night, finished uploading a video for today, and chatted with some people in the comment section. And then a little while later, I decided to look on Amazon and see if I could find an ECU for my heater. I did find one. In fact, it was $28, so like $32 with tax. That is crazy. The heater stopped working last night, I don't know, sometime around between 6 and 8. And it's currently 2:30 the following day, and I have the replacement part. That's more like it. That's what's supposed to happen. I forgot until right now that I actually modified the burn chamber. We've got another set of holes in the shelf or baffle area, so we'll see how this works. I'm not going to mess with it here. I'm not choking it or touching the intake in any way. We'll see if it starts on its own. I am currently running, see if I can remember this. It's about 5% gasoline, 20% diesel, and 75% waste oil. Running at 210, as you guys can see. Hopefully you can see that. I have no idea what just happened. The last time I looked at my remote, it's at 168 Celsius. I was responding to some comments on my YouTube videos, and then I look at the remote again, it says 68 Celsius. And as I stood up to come outside, it did the E8 thing, so... There we go. She just needed a jump start. She blew a bit of carbon out. Hopefully my arm wasn't in the way. That was pretty cool. The heater's trying to die on me. I'm sure you guys can see the smoke in here. Okay, Sparks, turn off light. Look at there. That stuff happens every now and then, and I'm just not recording because I just can't record everything. It takes up so much memory space. I thought, maybe I can heat it up some by putting some gas fumes into it. I've done this dozens of times now. I don't know if I've shown it on camera, but use gas fumes to try to trick it into coming back to life. And every now and then it backfires. That was a good one, but every now and then it backfires like that. So yeah, I'm glad I caught it on camera. Whatever the backfire did, it must have shook something loose in the exhaust or in the chamber or something. But that doesn't solve our problem. You can't just make your, I mean, I suppose you could, but it's not practical to just make your heater backfire every 4 hours so that you can continue running it. Because I don't want this video to go on forever, and because we've already tested burning waste motor oil several times on this channel, I'm going to skip through a lot of the very detailed parts of burning the waste motor oil, and we're going to get ahead to where I'm actually showing you guys the contamination from burning that oil so that we can get into the testing of the new stuff. As you guys can see, that is not very much buildup for burning that much oil, and it looks like it's going to clean up really easily. It's going to be hard to compare results to this because this isn't very bad. This is quite good. I suppose I'm going to split the chamber. We'll take a look inside and see what's actually in there, but this doesn't look that bad. It actually looked like a whole lot more, but these pieces here would have been inside the chamber and they fell off when it backfired. I don't think I ever showed you guys this because I was trying to figure out a way to do it that would actually work before I showed you, and then by the time I had it working, I didn't want to take it back apart. So what I have is a stainless steel hose clamp, and then I have a couple of thin pieces of stainless steel that are cut out of a jet ski pump wear ring. And now, to take it apart, I just loosen off the hose clamp. The hose clamp slides off. And then there are two stainless steel rings. This is the first time that I'm taking it apart since putting the stainless steel rings on. Last time I was using some thin aluminum foil that just didn't hold up very well. So I remove stainless steel rings. I could just smack this and it'd probably come off right now, but this is more pleasing to watch. So this second stainless steel ring comes off, and you guys can see, hopefully there's carbon and soot and stuff falling out of here. So now I split that apart, and that is inside of the actual burn area. So this is probably why the burn was starting to get affected. Inside of here cleans up pretty easily. This stuff is just kind of scraping free without too much effort. So that we have a good reference point, this is what it looks like on the current setup after running a waste oil mix with diesel and gasoline. I have decided to sacrifice one of my thermocouples in the name of science so that we can get some temperatures where the fuel goes into the burn chamber. I've been having some conversations with people in the comment section of my videos, and I've told several people that I think one of the biggest challenges with one of these heaters and burning waste oil is that the area where the oil goes into just isn't hot enough to vaporize. So I'll explain a little bit about that and then talk about where I'm going to put the thermocouple. So the fuel comes in through this line here, this steel line. It goes into here. When you're first starting it, the glow plug is turned on and the mesh is in this area. The flame starts, it goes into the main part of the burn chamber, and the burn is actually supposed to happen just in behind this part here. So once the burn is started, this part of the burn chamber gets hot enough that it vaporizes the diesel, it mixes with the air, and that makes a very clean burn. The problem is, I think that this part of the burn chamber, right where the oil is running in, doesn't actually get hot enough to vaporize the oil, and that is kind of proven by the fact that we get puddles of oil, just outside of this area. So in order to try to figure out what kind of temperatures we're actually getting in here, I'm going to take the thermocouple and then I'm going to use some JB Weld, and I am going to attach the thermocouple right here on the outside of the burn chamber. That is directly where the oil goes when it enters this part of the burn chamber. It's right on the other side of the wall. And so we should be able to get a pretty good idea of what temperatures the oil is seeing when it enters the chamber. I have a feeling that it's going to be pretty low because this is also where the air rushes in. But even more than that, this is a huge heat sink. The heat exchanger is aluminum and it is getting rid of heat. And this flange on the burn chamber is connected directly to the area that should be getting hot. So ideally we would have a perfect insulation between the burn chamber flange and the heat exchanger. I've been trying to put thicker gaskets and build up layers of glue and stuff to try to keep the heat from just going straight through. I might try an exhaust gasket material to try to maybe do a little bit better job. But for now, this is what we're working with. So I just came across something quite interesting that I don't know how well I'll be able to show you guys, but I'll tell you about it and try to show you. I was just dumping this out in preparation to put my fresh oil with diesel and gas mix in it. And when I started pouring it out, it was pouring, and then at the bottom, all of a sudden, it appears that there is a whole bunch of water. I'm getting ready to mix up a batch of fuel for this test, and I haven't shown actually mixing up the waste motor oil, so I'm going to do the exact same thing here, but I'm using new oil instead of old oil. This is Motul 1040 motorcycle engine oil. I'm going to use 3.75 liters of this, 250 milliliters of gasoline, and 1 liter of diesel. Put them all in this container, mix it up, and then put it in the heater, and that will be our fuel. Once again, the only difference between this test and the other test that I did before this is going to be that I'm using brand new oil instead of waste motor oil. Oh, I forgot to prime it. Up to 121 Celsius, 252 Fahrenheit, and 100 over here. So as you can see, the burn chamber isn't that much hotter than the exchanger at this point. 10 degrees hotter. That's interesting. The temperature on the burn chamber now is actually lower than the temperature. What is happening with my heat exchanger? Something's not right. Something's going on with my heat sensor. So as you guys can see, this is at 146 and holding fairly steady. That's not nearly hot enough to burn off waste oil. I'm setting a timer for 10 minutes to let the diesel run through it and get it fully warmed up. I just did a quick Google search and it turns out that JB Weld can withstand 600 Fahrenheit, 316 Celsius. The timer has gone off. The temperature is 160. It was just 161, and so now I'm going to start switching over to the oil. As you guys can see, the burn chamber temperature on the outside is up to 181. For some reason we have a temperature here of 188. I'm not sure if that is a problem with this sensor or if it's legitimate. It's a pretty crappy time for that sensor to start glitching out right in the middle of this test. I am switching back over to the motor oil. I wanted to see if this was actually reading correctly, so I switched back to diesel and it does seem to be working properly. So back to the waste motor, or back to the not waste motor oil we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a little bit of discoloration still in the filter here, but as we work our way through, you can see that the fuel looks pretty clear in the lines. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. The temperature has stabilized between 206 and 210, and the burn chamber temperature seems to be set around 178, 179. I decided to try something. Everybody's been telling me to run this thing on max because the burn chamber runs hotter on max, and that way it won't carbon up as much. And guess what? We were all wrong, because I believe that too. I slowed it down to setting 1. It's currently at setting 2, but I slowed it all the way down to setting 1, and the temperature went from 170 to 213. I now have it back on setting 1. We'll see what happens here. 214 at setting 1, 215, 216. Okay, so we seem to have stabilized at 222 in setting 1. The temperature here on the housing is only 188, but that's 223. So now what I'm going to do is start slowly cranking it up and see. This temperature will probably drop. It'd be nice if we can get it to go up. Whoops, that was the wrong way. So we're now in setting 2, 225. It would be really awesome if that temperature kept going up from here. It has been running for probably about half an hour now, maybe a little bit longer. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an update, and then I'm just going to leave it run. So we'll start off with temperatures. We are running the same as we were with the waste oil mix, between 206 and 210. We now have the temperature of the outside of the burn chamber. So I can turn the meter on, and we are at 171 Celsius or 340 Fahrenheit. I'm guessing the camera can't pick that up, but there is a haze in here. I've had the door open for a little while now, and I've been checking a few numbers. I went outside and you can definitely smell that smell of burning engine oil. So I'm gonna assume that this is doing just about as well as the waste oil did, but I'm not going to end the test. I had actually kind of considered ending the test and switching over to test the cetane booster, but I'm not going to do that because, well, it's not fair. It's not a fair test if I don't run it all the way through. So I was just watching my remote and the temperature jumped to 226. So I slowed it down to setting 3. It's back to setting 5 here. I'm going to turn the meter back on and see what the temperature on the chamber is. 184. I wasn't recording that. The heater is shut down and I was about to restart it, but I figured I would pull off the exhaust and take a look inside. We did that during the last test where we were testing the waste motor oil instead of the new motor oil. So I've got the exhaust off and it definitely looks better than it did when burning on the dirty stuff. I think it's too early in the test to actually call that it's better at this point, but this is somewhat concerning and means that it's not perfect. The exhaust around here is wet and there is a little bit of buildup up inside there. So it's less than an hour later. I just looked at my controller and it has flamed out. The fan has stopped. Let's see what the temperature is on the chamber. 64, so it must have just stopped running. So yeah, this is what it looks like. I don't want to continue this. This is not nice to my neighbors. As I was talking to the camera earlier, I realized that putting the baffle back on the chamber, it is currently removed, and putting it back on could potentially keep more heat in the burn chamber, but I think it would do so at the reduction of airflow, which is why it would heat up, and we need that airflow to... It just overheated. So this is what the temperature does as soon as the fan slows down. Temperature's at 266, 268, 270. So it's possible to get the temperature of the burn chamber way up. 280. It's just a matter of controlling the fan speed and the fuel feed. Oh, the JB Weld's gonna start quitting here anytime. It is now Wednesday evening. I think the last time I did any work on the heater was Monday, and I spent all day Tuesday editing video, chatting with people in the comments, and dealing with VEVOR. I spent all day today uploading my video, chatting with people in the comments again, and once again, taking care of stuff with VEVOR. Hopefully they'll get me some stuff shipped out soon. That would be awesome. And so now it is Wednesday. I am going to finally pull the heater apart. It has burned this much oil, this much new oil. So probably a third of the tank, and it had issues. I could start it back up and run it, but there's no point in it. It is quite obviously having issues. It's struggling even more so than the used motor oil was. So I'm going to pull it down off of the shelf. I'm not going to bother showing you guys all that, but the next thing you guys will see is me pulling the chamber out. I don't know if I already told you guys this, I can't remember, but I did shut this down on diesel to try to make it a fair comparison, because when I was running the waste motor oil, I also shut it down on diesel. I actually ran it for longer than I intended on the diesel, and by the time I hit the button on the remote, I think it was probably close to an hour that had passed. Okay, what are we dealing with here? Let's get the thermocouple wires out through this hole. Oh, interesting. That is quite interesting. Why was it acting so weird if it was only gummed up that much. I'm guessing you guys can't see that, so I'll give you a different view of it. The tests are very similar, I would say. Very similar. This might be a really good time to test the diesel particulate filter cleaner. As you guys can see, there's not a whole lot of stuff in there. It's quite white. The camera seems to be picking up the color fairly accurately. I'm going to try to split the chamber and not actually take any of this stuff out so that we can run the diesel particulate filter cleaner test and see how much of the stuff it actually cleans up. But I want to take this apart to see if we can see why the heater was starting to act up, because that to me doesn't seem like enough stuff unless the area in behind that shelf is completely plugged up. And that very well could be the case. There was a significant amount of stuff in there when I was burning the waste oil, so it's probably the same thing here. So I'm going to remove the hose clamp, pull this apart, and we'll take a look inside. I'm just going to pull the chamber apart here and try not to do it too aggressively and see what is in there. Okay, yeah. More stuff in here, I believe, than when we were burning the waste oil. I can't actually remember what I showed you guys last time on the waste oil test, but there definitely is a little bit more buildup inside of the heat exchanger at the bottom. I started to chip away at this and then realized that I need to show you guys because that's what I do, make videos. So, what do you guys think of the results of this test? What did I do wrong? What would you have done differently? And what do you think that this means for the future of burning oil in my heater? I personally think that we need a lot more heat in the area where the fuel comes into the burn chamber, and so that is what many of my future tests are going to be focusing on. In the next video in this series, I am going to be testing both of these things, a diesel particulate filter cleaner and cetane booster, but probably the next video that you guys will see, if you decide to watch it, will be the motor replacement. I got the motor, and yeah, I might try to put that in as an extra day. Normally I do Wednesday and Sunday videos, but I'll probably try to do an extra one and just get the motor video out of the way quickly, so that we can continue on with this testing and yeah, do some more exciting stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this nonsense, be sure to subscribe. Once again, I do have an affiliate link if you guys are interested in purchasing a heater that is similar to mine. If you use that affiliate link, I get a small kickback and it helps me out. There's also a discount code VVS10 for $10 off, or VV promo for 5% off store-wide. That sounds like something you're interested in. All the information in the description below. And yeah, that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.